There are hundreds of rules of golf, which means it can be really hard to remember them all, especially when they're constantly changing and updating. Today I'm going to be running through 7 rules of golf that you're breaking without knowing, and showing you what the correct ruling is and how you can not make that mistake next time you go out in competition. Okay, improving your lie. I think a lot of people have the general knowledge that you can't kind of just trample the grass around your golf ball and improve your lie so much that the ball is easier to hit. But I think a lot of people don't realise that this rule affects more than just the area around your golf ball. So this rule actually expands to your stance, also your intended kind of swing path, and the target line down your shot. And in all those areas, you're not allowed to kind of improve the conditions of your shot. So if you were stood somewhere and you needed to stand in a bush to hit your golf ball, you can't simply just trample the whole thing down to get a good stance, because that's classed as improving your lie. Now obviously you can do what's reasonable to kind of back in and get in the position so you can hit the golf ball, but you can't just be flattening everything around you to make it easier to hit your golf shot. In the same sense, if you have kind of overhanging branches above you, you can't move these or knock these off to make it easier for you to have a swing. Even things such as you can't replace divots on your line of play, because that's classed as improving the conditions of around your ball. So you'll have to wait and repair the course until after you've hit your shot. Now, another thing worth noting here is you can't move things such as water and dew. So if you go out really early, there's still dew down on the greens, you want to move it off your lie, you actually can't do that. That's against the rules of golf, and that will give you a 2-shot penalty. So definitely things that are worth noting. The only place you can really get around these improving your lie rules is on the tee, that box. They just don't count there. So you can kind of break off grass if it's in your way. Obviously you can tee your ball up, you could create a grass divot tee if you wanted, and you can remove dew and water there. But elsewhere on the golf course, just be really careful what you're doing in and around your golf ball, because if you are deemed to be improving your lie, you would be liable for penalty shots. While you're here, I would really appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button. Over 75% of people have watched my videos and not actually subscribed to the channel, and it makes a huge difference in terms of what content we can create in the future if you can hit that subscribe button. While you're there, why not drop us a like and even drop us a comment and let me know what other rules videos you'd like to see on the channel soon. Right, back to the video. Out of bounds, something all golfers dread. But this ruling could kind of help you out, maybe save you a few shots here. Because did you know the whole golf ball has to be out of bounds for the ball to be classed as being out of bounds? So if 1 millimetre of the golf ball is in bounds, your ball is still in play. What a lot of people don't realise is out of bounds is marked by like the outside edge of any boundary marker. So in this scenario, the whole ball would have to be to the right of the edges of these posts for the ball to be out of bounds. So if any fraction or part of the ball is in bounds, your ball is still in play. Now, it's a lot easier when there is a line down, because you can clearly see if the ball is over the other side of the line. If there is a white line down and your whole ball is on the line, that ball is still in play. The whole ball has to be over the line for it to be out of bounds. Now, in the scenario that isn't a line, there's just sticks, and what a referee would do would actually run a line of string down the right edge of all of these to find out if your ball was in play. Obviously, the majority of the time, you should be able to get down the side of the sticks, just have a look and see if your ball is in play. But it is worth remembering that if any part of your ball is in, the ball is still in play, you can hit your shot and keep going without having to go back to the tee. Now, if we put the ball here, this is still in play because the ball is inside that right edge, as I've said. Now, you might think, great, I'm gonna go and hit my shot like this. I'm just gonna pull this out and hit my shot. You can't do that. This is a boundary marker of the course and it's an immovable obstruction. So it would be a 2-shot penalty if you took that out and then hit your shot. So although you can hit this ball, you're gonna have to do like something a bit creative and maybe chip out backwards or sideways. If you are off the green and there is sand in and around your golf ball that you think, oh, I'm just gonna wipe that out of the way, it's gonna affect my shot, stop. You're not allowed to move sand around your golf ball. It's not something that's deemed as a movable obstruction. It's deemed as something that you have to leave there, and it would give you a penalty if you were to move that. So next time there is sand around your ball and you're not on the green, just remember you've either got to hit over it or just roll your ball through it. Now, the only way you can get round this is if the sand wasn't there when your ball came to lay to rest. So you are allowed to have the lie that was there when your ball stopped moving. So if I was playing with someone else right now and they hit a shot out of the bunker and it then covered my ball and my lie with sand, I can move that because it wasn't there when my ball first stopped there. But if my ball just rolls up and stops here and there's already sand there, it's tough luck. Unplayable drops. I see people get this wrong all the time. Let's say I've played this hole and I've just hit it into this rather unappealing gorse bush. If I found my ball, I'm not going to get in there and play it. It's just too thick and it's not possible to swing. So what I'm going to do is take an unplayable. Now, what a lot of people do is just pull their ball out, walk to the edge of the bush and then take their 2 club lengths. That's not the rule at all. You get 2 club lengths from the spot where you find your golf ball. If 2 club lengths doesn't get you out far enough, which it clearly wouldn't if I was in the middle of here, you have to keep taking 2 club lengths and adding penalty drops until you get out. The other alternative is you can go back to the spot you previously played and re-hit your shot, or you can take back online relief. But you can't simply just pull your ball out the middle of the bush and drop it next to it and carry on. You simply get 2 club lengths if that's the way you are choosing to take the drop. Now, if you're playing in a teams comp, be that be a foursomes, a 4-ball better ball, or even such a Texas scramble, there's actually been a rule change, which means you can't stand and watch your partner hitting their putt to learn from their shot. So previously, if you were in a team, you could kind of wait, stand here, see what the line of the putt is when your partner hits it. You're not allowed to do that anymore, and you would incur a penalty if you did so. So just make sure next time you play in any of your team, you're not stood behind your players putting, watching the putts. Now, it's kind of a weird rule because if I'm playing against someone else, I can go and watch the other team. I wouldn't say it's great etiquette to stand behind someone and watch them, but I can kind of step in, have a look, see where the ball's going. But you can't do it for someone on your team. It's classed as kind of getting extra information, and it's not allowed. So just be wary of that next time you're playing in your next team competition. Now, generally it's encouraged to hit a provisional ball if you kind of hit it off the tee, you're not sure where your ball's gone. But there is one scenario where you actually shouldn't hit a provisional and could be penalised for doing so, and that is if you think your ball has gone in a water hazard. Obviously this is different from other areas on the golf course because from these penalty areas we have certain drop options and we don't necessarily need to re-hit that previous shot. The reason you're not allowed to hit a provisional in this scenario is because one of the drop options from a penalty area is to go back and re-hit your last shot. So hitting a provisional from here would be kind of classed as practicing that next re-drop. So it's just worth noting, next time you hit your ball and it looks like it's going towards a penalty area, it's the same rule for taking a drop from a penalty area. You have to be 95% certain that it's gone in, and if that's the case, you shouldn't be hitting a provisional ball, you should just be going down and taking the appropriate drop. Now, if you're ever in a scenario where you found a golf ball but you're not sure it's yours, we want to make sure we identify it, because we know if we hit the wrong golf ball, we're going to get a lot of penalty shots and we just don't want to get involved in that. Now, I think most people know you can pick the ball up to identify and check it's yours, but what they don't realise is you actually have to mark the golf ball before you're doing so, otherwise you would get a penalty stroke. So in this scenario, my ball's down in the long grass behind a little bit of gorse. I mean, mine does have a big stripe on it, so I can see it's mine, but if I couldn't, what I would do is go ahead and put a T-peg in there, make sure I mark the spot, because I've got to replace it in the exact same place, so I need to make sure I know where that is. And then I can simply lift the ball up. Obviously, if this was white and I couldn't see the markings, I can then check and double check it's mine. And on a side note, that's why it's quite important that if you don't use a bright golf ball like this, you have some sort of identifying mark on it, because then you can definitely check it's yours. If you kind of pull this out and there's 2 golf balls next to each other and they're the same and you don't know which is yours, you can't hit either of them. You'd have to go back to the tee and hit again, which would be very irritating. So 1, make sure there's a mark on your golf ball so you know it's yours, and 2, make sure if you have to pick it up and check if it is yours, you mark the spot so you can put it back in the right place. Now, you might think you're being really organised, getting to the tee ahead of time, and then you see the fairway ahead of you is empty and think, right, well, I'm just going to tee off early. Now, if you're in a competition, you're actually not allowed to do this. And if you tee off earlier than 5 minutes before your tee time or later than 5 minutes after your tee time, the committee can actually disqualify you from the tournament. Now, I'm not sure this is a rule that ever really would be put in play. I mean, I've definitely seen DQs where people have turned up late, and obviously if Rory rocked up 6 minutes later at a major, that's definitely not going to run. But I'm not quite sure where they would enforce this if you turned up early. Now, you might think this is really not a problem, I just want to get out and get ahead and get on with my round, which I can totally understand, but actually The tees are spaced out for a reason, and that's to have good pace of play throughout the golf course and to not have everyone squashed up on top of each other. And by everyone kind of teeing off as soon as possible and getting really on top of the group in front, it just squishes everyone together on the golf course, slows down pace of play, and isn't really that productive. So next time you're playing in a competition, just remember to make sure to tee off at your allocated tee time. Not too early and not too late, or the committee could decide to disqualify you if they wanted to.